Good morning, garden friends. I should be doing an actual garden tour today, but it's too hot and I've got raspberry jam to make with the first harvest of our season. So no full garden tour today, but I do want to talk tomatoes with you because I know some of you, who shall remain nameless, have tomato questions. So first thing I'm going to tell you about tomatoes is that it's very important to label your varieties. This is for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you grow a plant and it is a fantastic tomato and you love it, it's your favorite tomato ever, how in the world are you going to grow it again if you don't know what variety it is? On the flip side, if you grow a tomato and it's terrible tasting or it succumbs to disease and blight early and doesn't produce anything for you, you never want to grow that tomato again. But again, you don't know what variety it is unless it's labeled. So you might grow it again next year inadvertently. So you should always label your tomatoes so you know what kind they are. Now, a couple things as far as taking care of your tomatoes. And another reason why you should label your tomatoes. There are different types of tomatoes. There are indeterminate tomatoes, which will grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, and they will produce all season long. These are indeterminates, which is why they are staked, because before the end of the season is done, they will be almost to the top of these stakes. The second kind of tomatoes are determinate, and those are the tomatoes that will grow about 4 or 5 feet tall, and then they will put on their fruit set and ripen over the course of maybe 4 weeks. Some people say less than that. It depends on the varieties, but you're not going to get tomatoes from them all season long. Those tomatoes you treat differently than indeterminate tomatoes, and that's another reason why it's important to label so that you know how to properly take care of your tomatoes. So now this is an indeterminate. It's a large red heirloom tomato. I got the seeds from Old Sturbridge Village. We're just going to use this as an example. So you can see the stem here. I have removed all of the leaves going up the stem until you get to the first fruit. The reason I do that is twofold. Number one, it helps increase airflow, which helps decrease disease. And the other reason I do that is to prevent all of the spores that are in the soil from splashing up on the leaves once it rains and spreading disease. Okay? So you do want to remove all of the stems on the bottom of the plant, especially any that are close to the ground. Now, this stem right here, I am going to take out because you can see it is growing down and it is only a couple inches from the ground. And so I'm just going to come in and pinch that off. You can use clippers if you have them. I just pinch them off. Okay. Now this was a healthy leaf. There's nothing wrong with it, but I didn't want it growing so close to the ground. This one is starting to show signs of disease. Okay. So I'm also going to take this one off. However, this one's not so close to the ground and it's shading my first fruits. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pinch it off. Might be a two-handed job. No, I got it. Pinch it off so that the leaves here still shade the fruit, but yet the disease part is gone. Okay, now when that fruit ripens, I may come and clip this off just for further airflow, but for now, they're good. These I'm going to take and get rid of outside of my garden. I'm not going to drop them here because these disease spores could spread. So they are going outside of the garden. I have a place where I dump them under some shrubs on the border, and that's where they go. Now, the other thing about indeterminate, okay, so trimming the bottom and making sure that nothing is growing close to the ground, you want to do that for all types of tomatoes. For indeterminate tomatoes, I like to prune them so that they have 2 or 3 main stems. Some people do single stems. I tried it once and it didn't work out for me, so I'm not doing that again. So what happens is you have the growing stem, and then at about 90-degree angle, you have the leaves coming off. And then in between, you can barely see here, in between the leaf and the main stem, you're going to have a sucker growing in the armpit, okay? I am going to remove most of those suckers. There's one right there. You can, right here, the baby. That's a baby sucker. I am going to remove most of them. Now you can see right here, this I'm following with my finger is the main stem. 90 degrees is a leaf. This right here is a sucker. Okay, so I'm actually going to come in and I'm going to take that out because I already have the main stems that I want growing. Now this, you can actually root. You can put it in the soil, keep it well watered, and it will turn into another plant. Okay, so that's a tip. If you have room and you want more tomatoes, then take your suckers, root them, and they will grow tomatoes. Over here, you can see main growing stem, right here, leaf, growing at 90 degrees. This is also a sucker. I am letting that one stay because that means 1, 2, 3 main stems for me, and that's good on this tomato. Okay, so right here I see a sucker. I'm going to come in and pinch that out. Let me show you another one. This is a Garden Treasure tomato. You can see I have trimmed everything down here. This leaf right here, however, is growing close to the ground. Now you can see I've already trimmed it. You can see right there, that's been trimmed. But now that it's a little bigger, I'm just going to take the whole thing off. Okay. Over here, there's another one that's growing close to the ground and it's showing sign of disease. Can you see that yellowing? Right there. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to pinch that off. Now, just for practice identification, we have the main growing stem, we have a leaf growing at 90 degrees, and in the armpit, we have this sucker right here. Now, I am leaving this sucker on because right now I have a couple of growing stems. I want the third, okay? So hopefully you can see what I'm doing as far as trimming goes. Here's another one on a Hungarian heart. It's showing yellowing. See the yellow right there? I want to get that off of my plant. So that leaf is going, okay? Any leaf that shows signs of yellowing like that, I'm going to take off and get rid of because I don't want the disease spreading to the rest of my plants, okay? So that covers indeterminate. You can see I've got them all staked. They're all going to grow really tall. Over here, I have a couple different types of tomatoes that are not indeterminate. They are determinants. They are going to stay small, which is why I have them caged in these small cages. Okay? These, I'm going to let all of the suckers grow. Because if you take the suckers off of determinate tomatoes, you are drastically reducing your harvest. However, the yellow rule applies, right? I've got signs of disease here. I don't even know if you can see because the lighting is so bad. So those are coming off. Again, another determinant. Actually, this is a dwarf, I think. And so I'm taking all of the yellowing off at the bottom on the determinant plants. I've got dwarfs growing over here. Ignore the weeds. This aisle is the bane of my existence. This is a dwarf tomato. This is the only time I use these stupid tomato cages. They are not good for anything except dwarf tomatoes. And so you can see I've got a couple that are trimmed up at the bottom. I took all the stems off of there, but from now on, I am only removing signs of yellowing off of these dwarf and determinate tomatoes. The suckers are going to be able to grow and grow and grow, and hopefully we will get lots of tomatoes off of them. Look at this Rosella Purple Dwarf, is a pretty good sized fruit right there. So hopefully that answers some questions about how to care for your tomatoes. The big lessons are, and I'm just going to toss these into the pile there. The big lessons are, number one, always label, because if you have your tomatoes labeled, you know if you want to grow them again or if you never want to grow them. It also helps you determine if they're determinate or indeterminate. If you forget, you just Google the variety because you have it labeled and you're off to the races. Okay. The other thing I didn't mention, and I should, is that you want to stake, you want to attach your indeterminates to their stakes somehow. And I use these Velcro. It comes in a roll and it's just Velcro, and I just do that. You want to use something that lets the plant breathe and grow. You don't want to tie it so tightly that there's no room for the stem to grow, but you do want to keep them propped up like this. Now this branch right here, I'm going to have to come and prop it and attach it, but you do want to keep your indeterminates tied to the stake so that they don't flop over in the thunderstorms that we are known for in the summer. All right, if you have any more tomato questions, let me know. Put them in a comment below. I'll be happy to answer them for you. So far, so good. As you've seen, I have just a little bit of hint of disease or fungus or whatever it is. Early blight, septoria leaf spot. I don't care what it is. All I know is that I want it gone. And so that's why I pick those leaves off. Usually this is the time of year when we see it. And so I'm kind of excited that there's not more of it right now, knock on wood. All right, happy growing. Enjoy your tomatoes. If you have some tomatoes that are doing really well, let me know what they are. If you have some tomatoes that are pooping out on you, let me know what they are. Talk to you later, garden friends. Have a good one.